The movie begins with establishing a man named Cao Cao as prime minister. He kickstarts a series of decade-long battles with Liu Bei and Sun Quan's united rebellion against the emperor. Cao soon decides to open Kuju games in his camp to boost morale among the soldiers. Little does he know of Sun Shangshang, an enemy spy disguised as one of his soldiers. After swiftly breaking away from her troop, she discovers that many of Cao's soldiers have died from typhoid fever. Before she could use a pigeon post to leak information to Quan, she was interrupted by approaching soldiers. Immediately, she hides the pigeon in her armor as she pretends to watch the games. Meanwhile, in Quan's camp, his general, Zhao Yun, prepares a plan of attack with other officials. Despite their decade-long losing streak to Cao, Zhao calmly tells the officials they will attack Cao's navy. When Sun manages to release the pigeon message, she accidentally hits Sun Shukai, a battalion commander. After nonchalantly saying that she was just freeing the bird, the two engage in small talk. As their conversation grows, they agree to play a few games together. At the same time, Cao is informed that hundreds of soldiers have died from the plague-like sickness. As his generals decide how to cremate the bodies, Cao hatches a diabolical plan. When Zhao hears word of the spreading sickness in Cao's camp, his officials quickly urge him to attack. Still calm and serene as ever, Zhao sternly says that it would go against the ethics of war if they attacked Cao in his current state. Not too long after, Zhao's people discover floating pyres with piles of dead bodies coming to their shores. As they check the deceased soldiers, Zhuge Liang, Liu Bei's militarist, checks their blood. When he discovers that the soldiers are infected with typhoid fever, he screams for everyone to evacuate the area. Despite seeing his people struck with the sickness, Zhao says this has become psychological warfare. Nevertheless, he bitterly proceeds to burn the dead bodies. Unfortunately, Zhao faces new challenges as the fever quickly spreads among his people more and more each day. Liu removed his troops the following day, breaking his alliance with Zhao. Liu tells the generals that the epidemic has devoured Zhao's people. When an argument begins to ensue among them, Zhuge pulls Liu aside. Despite his attempts to convince the general to stay, Liu emphasizes that he needs to focus on the survival of his men. Convinced that the war is lost, Liu bids Zhao farewell. After hearing about the successful transference of the plague to Zhao's men, Cao meets with his naval admirals Kai Mao and Zhang Yun. They discuss war strategies and new tactics they've incorporated into their ships. After that, Cao asks Zhang Gan, Zhao's childhood friend, to cross the river to tell Zhao to surrender. Sun closely listens inside one of the vessels as she notes every detail in their conversations. However, she faces Shukai and his battalion when she exits the ship. When he orders his men to leave, Shukai and Sun play a new game called Ride High. As Sun is lifted off the ground, she sees Zhao's entire camp spread out in the distance. Pretending to admire the view, she asks Shukai to stand still as she draws the entire land beyond the wall. Back at Quan's camp, Zhuge suggests he can generate 100,000 arrows to make up for Liu's missing men. Despite Zhao giving him a time limit of 10 days, Zhuge smugly says he only needs 3. However, nearing the end of the deal, an official notices that Zhuge still needs to make even 1 arrow. Using a tortoise he'd found as a sign, Zhuge smiles and calmly predicts that a fog is coming. Later that night, Zhang arrives at Zhao's camp and enjoys a meal with him. After a few drinks, Zhao proceeds to show off his sword dancing skills. However, Zhang quickly notices a note that drops out of the sword scabbard. Before he could grab the paper, Zhao instantly stopped and hid it in his sleeve. Suddenly, Zhao's joyful facade fades, and he accuses Zhang of being Cao's ambassador. As Zhang frantically denies it, a soldier interrupts them to talk to Zhao. As Zhang tries to eavesdrop, he bumps into Xiao Chao, Zhao's wife. However, Zhao comes in between them and invites Zhang to drink more with him as if nothing happened. Later that night, Zhang comes over to Zhao, who is passed out, and retrieves the note. Upon opening the note, he sees Mai's handwriting stating he will behead Cao. Quickly, he flees back to Cao's camp. As the night stretches in Cao's camp, one of his men suddenly screams when he sees Zhuge's ships appearing from the fog in the distance. After arrows are gathered and soldiers are called, they stay in their positions. Zhuge then orders his ships to align, setting both enemies' fleets to an eerie standoff. Then, from inside the hay-covered boats, Zhuge orders a launch of arrows to Cao's fleet. This sends Cao's men raining hundreds of thousands of arrows onto the ships. Zhuge smiles contently inside his ship as his hay vessels collect hundreds of thousands of arrows. As some ships tip over, Zhuge orders them to turn about. More shots of arrows come diving into the hay ships when drums are banged. After Cao's men stop shooting, Zhuge sends his ships back home. Unfortunately, as they return to shore, one of the ships strays away into the river. When Cao confirms that the written note Zhang had stolen was from Mai, He comes to the admirals. Oblivious, the admirals assure Cao that Zhuge's ships have fled. Cao then questions how many arrows they had used in the futile fight. When the admirals estimate 100,000, one of Zhuge's ships is near their dock. In a fit of outrage, Cao reveals the note of betrayal. Despite the admiral's statements that it was a trick, Cao orders his men to behead the traitors. However, as their heads depart their lifeless bodies, Cao suddenly realizes his mistake. He now has no more admirals leading his navy. Not long after, Cao poisons Jiang for his obliviousness to Zhao's tricks. Enraged by his recent losses, he yells at his men that they'll be taking Red Cliff at once. Sun quickly notes the activity as frantic soldiers rally the horses and send the pigeon away. Unfortunately, a soldier calls out Sun, exposing her position as a spy. Thwarting the soldiers, Sun makes a run for it. Luckily, Shukai helps her escape when she tells him she must see her family. For a long moment, she bids him farewell, knowing that he may as well be dead already. Meanwhile, Cao is preoccupied with more of his soldiers getting infected with the fever. As they lose hope, Cao quietly talks about his sickly son. Slowly, he encourages them to be strong and fight for their families. When he leaves the tent, he is surrounded by his men, sick and the healthy. They salute him as they yell a battle cry for victory. Later that night, Sun arrives at Zhao's camp. Without delay, she quickly showed them a map she'd been wearing underneath her clothes. She lays it out and points out the camp's weak areas and different structures. The following day, they discuss battle strategies and agree to use fire. Fortunately, Zhao notices that the wind is blowing northwest and demonstrates that if they use fire, it will only burn their own fleet. He further suggests that Cao knows this and will probably use fire too. However, Zhuge notices the dark clouds enshrouding the sun. He explains that it's a sign that the winds will change. Immediately, he says that they need to delay the attack just in time for the winds to work in their favor. While making war preparations, a woman informs Zhao that Xiao is missing. He quickly hurries to his wife's room to find a letter. He reads it to find that Xiao is on her way to Cao, hoping to convince him to stop the war. Furthermore, Xiao explains in the letter that she's pregnant but assures him that she will return safely. When Xiao is invited into Cao's chambers, Cao recalls his affection for her when he first saw her when they were younger. With a bittersweet tone, Xiao reminisces how fond her father was of Cao. However, she points out to Cao that he's changed and is no longer sweet but ruthless. Immediately, she begs Cao to stop the war for the sake of the civilians. When Cao refuses, Xiao quickly grabs a nearby sword, threatening to end her life. Fortunately, Cao stops her just in time, explaining that she must see Zhao's downfall. Xiao remembers that she must delay Cao's attack for the winds to favor Zhao. She innocently invites him to tea before he can go to his army. Mesmerized by his childhood love, Cao comes in and spends time with Xiao. As she distracts him with her beauty and words, Cao barely notices the wind changing outside the window. Suddenly, Cao starts to feel the dizzying side effects of the tea. At the same time, Quan's men arrive at Cao's gates. Alongside them are Lu's men who've decided to return. As the winds change course, orders are immediately thrown. In an instant, Quan's ships ram into Cao's fleet, devouring them in fire. Simultaneously, Zhao's men launch firebombs into the enemy ships while the rest of their soldiers invade the land. In the distance, Cao horrifyingly watches a sea of flames as his men struggle to retreat. Amidst the burning cargo and flying firebombs, Cao's soldiers are slowly slaughtered on the battlefield. However, Cao's men quickly retaliate, showering Zhao's men on land with arrows. As more arrows and flaming catapults are exchanged, Zhao's hidden men in the bushes throw bombs at Cao's men at the walls. As Lu's men attack from the rear gate, Zhao's forces push forward to the front gate despite the heavy blows of fire and arrows. Unfortunately, their attempts to knock down the gate remain futile. Then, when one of Zhao's generals gets shot, he hatches an idea. He immediately grabs a bunch of bombs and throws them at the gate. In an instant, he dies in the blazing inferno that suddenly appears. Amidst the flying arrows and spears in mid-air, Quan's men slaughtered Cao's men and horses. Then, Zhao proceeds to light up a series of barrels filled with fish oil. A series of explosions kill off more of Cao's soldiers, sending the survivors to retreat. As the smoke clears, Cao sees that Zhao's men have clumped into groups protected by their shields. Despite Cao's general suggesting retreat, Cao stubbornly orders what's left of his men to attack. Another fight ensues as Cao's men catapult fireballs toward Zhao's troops. As Zhao's men spread out, they face a surprise attack by archers. Despite Zhao's men getting shot down, they continue storming forward. Amidst the fierce battle, Zhao manages to get inside Cao's inner walls, taking on all the soldiers inside. At the same time, Sun manages to reunite with Shukai. Despite the gory situation, They smile in relief to have seen each other again. Suddenly, Sun's face falls dark when Shukai gets shot by an arrow. Stunned, she holds onto him as he slowly dies, smiling in her arms. Meanwhile, Zhao charges Cao into one of the buildings. As he thwarts more enemy soldiers, he and Cao manage to hold each other at the sword's point. They slowly walk out into the open, the battle quieting down. As Quan threatens to shoot an arrow, Cao threatens to kill Zhao. Furthermore, Cao explains that they will all be pardoned if they surrender. However, Cao's men suddenly come forward, telling him they've lost and that the war is over. Suddenly, a soldier from above threatens to kill a frightened Xiao. With the air tightening each second, Quan and Zhao lower their weapons. Then, with a smirk, Cao orders to throw Xiao off the building. In an instant, Zhao manages to escape Cao's grasp and jumps into the building just in time to save his beloved wife. A moment of relief washes as she assures him that she's alright. Upon seeing all the dead soldiers amongst the chaos they've created, Zhao tells Cao to go home. He concludes by saying that no one has won this war but death. The movie ends with Zhuge and Zhao wishing each other good luck in an open field as they enjoy their newfound peaceful lives. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.